Oh, the full name
No, I'm
this
not.
week.
Oh, don't let me say my full name. Edit that out.
It's
I
very
am
strange.
Nick.
I'm not
I am
editing out
Nick.
your full name because now
Please
me
edit
talking
out
about
my
your
full
full
name.
name. What I'll do is I will like maybe I'll censor it. I'll do like a bleep or something. So no one has to know that your name is actually Nicholas.
Thank you. I
That's right.
appreciate that. Thank you.
And
Anyways, I'm Nick.
anyway,
And this
and
week,
oh, what did we watch? Well, we watched Nick. We
wait,
watched
no,
Don't Worry.
one,
No, it's too bad. I started
no,
talking.
cinema is dead. We didn't say the cinema's dead part.
But they hear cinema is dead in the intro.
I thought this was the intro, Ethan. I'm
No,
so
the
confused.
music. We don't need to say
Oh,
cinema is dead in the intro. They have the music. I'm gonna have to edit all of this out.
I'm
All
so
of this
sorry.
is on the cutting
Should
room
we
floor.
start it again?
Yeah, we just have to start it again. Cinema, my friends, is dead. And we intend to bury it. This week on the Death of Cinema podcast, the Stepford Don't Worry Wives, the Don't Worry Step Wives, enjoy! Like, I don't know, 17 or something.
Maybe when he was a teenager, but when he was a teenager, he was sleeping with older women. So it's been recorded. Okay, welcome to the Death of Cinema podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Ethan. And we are the delightful patriarchs from up the road of cinema. What we do is we come into your house and we select 2 delicious movies. They can be vaguely related, remakes of each other, complete rip-offs of each other, whatever the case may be, and we look at them and we decide if that week if cinema is dead or alive.
Ooh.
Nick, what films are we looking at this week?
This week, we will be watching the 2022 Don't Worry Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde, and the 1975 Stepford Wives, directed by Brian Forbes.
Oh, yeah. Back in the 70s, where men had a lot of hair.
When men were manly.
Finally, back when men were manly. Back when a man had too much
Bring
hair
back
on his
manly
body.
men.
I think that's what these movies are about, Nick. I think that's what it is. And we watched these movies. I watched it in chronological order. I watched the 1975 film, and then I watched the 2020 film. And Nick, you did the exact fucking opposite of that, because that's how...
I did.
That's the only other option. I mean, I guess the other option is you could start, like, watching one part of the first movie and then watching the next part of another movie and then just like getting
Can we do
real
an
fucky
episode
with
like
it.
that?
What would we watch like that?
Like a Funny Games, David Cronenberg.
Oh god.
It's a shot-for-shot remake, I think. Could be fun. Anyways,
okay.
We decided to do these movies and we're comparing them because they both have themes of women being property under a really strict patriarchy.
Yeah, it's basically like it takes the idea of the patriarchy and then it just boils it down to like happen in one neighborhood, just really, really bad. A part of my thought is like, oh, it's sort of like a literalized patriarchy, but like the patriarchy is literal, so it's just like patriarchy with extra steps.
A satirical, hyperbolized patriarchy.
Yeah. Well, satirical in one case, hyperbolized in both cases. Yeah. And also it's like coming in with like ideas about like, you know, femininity and technology and masculinity and where all that kind of intersects and everything. That this weird intersection of like, here's technology, here's femininity, here's masculinity. Now let's watch these cars crash. Ooh, let's watch these cars crash.
Let's watch them crash.
Speaking about car crashes, Nick, why don't you go ahead and summarize? Don't worry, darling. If you have something to say, genuinely, go ahead. I just thought that was a great segue. Go ahead.
It is a fantastic. We know you love your segues, Ethan. The plot of Don't Worry, Darling is Florence Pugh, who plays Alice, is deeply in love with one Harry Styles, the love of my life, the love of Alice's life. His name is Jack. And after they're living in a neighborhood, a patriarchal neighborhood, and she sees one wife go crazy, and then she also goes crazy, and Harry Styles just brainwashes her and gaslights her into thinking that she's not that she is crazy and that nothing actually bad is happening, and then the plot rapidly devolves and unravels and nothing else makes sense.
Yeah, a part of it is that all of the men in this strange neighborhood that's like this complex of neighborhoods that's called the Victory Project. They all work at the Victory Project, which is like this big weird mountain in the middle of a desert. Also, if you haven't seen this movie but you have seen Barbie, imagine reverse Barbie Land is basically the vibe. Like it's all
where it's all Ken's Mojo Dojo Costa House, and then they're just telling the Barbies to shut up and just live in their world. Yeah, it's reverse Barbie.
It's reverse Barbie, even in aesthetics, insofar as it's like it's kind of antiquated 1950s. It strangely takes place in the middle of a desert. All the neighborhoods are like way too well made and circular and don't make any sense for like actual neighborhoods, but like do make sense visually. So yeah, that's what Don't Worry, Darling is about. And also, there's the head of a company. Is his name Frank or is his name Fred? Because in one of these movies, there's a dog that's named Fred, I'm pretty sure, but Chris Pine's character, who's Fred, the boss, he's Frank, right?
He, I believe, is Frank. The dog and the neighbor, the dog and the neighbor in the Stepford Wives is Fred.
Why'd they name that feels very mean on the screenwriter. The screenwriter of Stepford Wives, just to name this man after the dog. That's very rude.
But anyways, give us the plot of Stepford Wives.
Well, the plot of Stepford Wives is about this photographer. She is one of the she's in the most 1970s looking family you could possibly get. Her name is Joanna. She has two girls with terrible fucking haircuts. They're like the blondest fucking women you've ever seen. For whatever reason, despite the fact both of their parents are brunettes. That's not, we don't need to get here nor there. Anyway, her husband Walter, who works in law, by the way, they're both moving out to the suburbs of Stepford, Connecticut, and she fucking hates it. In Stepford, all the women, they talk out of a 1950s commercial, and they dress out of a 1950s commercial, and it's just weird as shit. After, getting settled in, her husband, Walter, joins a secretive men's club, and it's basically in charge of controlling all of Stepford, and their hands are in a bunch of pots in terms of its organization and where money goes, and also a bunch of boring stuff as well. Eventually, though, Joanna does find some people who also are more new to the town. She finds her friend Bobby, and they both sort of decide to try to investigate and try to work with the women here to understand better about what's going on in Stepford. So, yeah, there's a lot of things going on involved with both of these. And I guess we should just, try to explain also, the bit, in terms of the big plot points of each one. And don't worry, darling. It turns out that the whole thing is in a weird incel simulation run by Chris Pine's company. And then
the Victory Project. And then Stepford Wives, they're all the women, the 1950s women that love to take care of their husbands and do all the housework, are actually robots.
Bum bum bum, which is beautiful, is wonderful. They do a wonderful job of introducing them as robots. It's a very heightened, ridiculous scene. This Stepford Wives is very much a satire, like we were talking earlier. So oftentimes, in order to show the heightened strangeness and comedy of it, you mostly get that through these women acting like the 1950s commercials, like complete parodies of what women are supposed to do. Meanwhile, Joanna is just over here just trying to be a fucking woman, an actual woman. She has interests, she has likes and dislikes, and like she just conflicts and stabs previously her best friend Bobby, now a fucking robot, right in the gut. Right in the gut with a knife. In like an interview, the actress didn't want to do it, so Brian had to insert the knife herself into the like foam rubber torso that they have, which is just like very sweet. Yeah,
Really?
it was interesting. That was Catherine Ross
That's cool.
as Joanna. Cards on the table. Nick has a complicated relationship with Don't Worry, Darling.
Starting with the fact that I absolutely love Harry Styles more than anything. He's
the
amazing.
third
Love his
thing I
music.
ever
Go
learned
listen to
about
his
you
music.
is that you love Harry Styles.
It's true. It's true. I've seen him. Yeah, I love him so much. So I was very excited for this movie, and I saw it as soon as it came out. I've loved Stepford Wives. Always loved that movie. And when I saw it, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film with some fantastic visuals, and I'll give it the credit it's due that it is visually pretty interesting.
It is.
However, it is. However, everything else from there, I can't give it any credit on. And it just is a shit show. And I'm so sorry to say it, but it frustrates me. And I'm gonna try and take myself out of that and be a little more neutral and when I'm just describing it. But dear God,
we had a previous discussion.
Really don't like
we had a previous discussion on just talking about the movies, and Nick became
this is our take 2 recording, and because I was so upset that
it was a
I'm
beautiful
back. It's
time.
gonna
It
be
was a
okay.
beautiful time. If you ever wondered what like Adolf Hitler sounded like in his beer hall speeches, I don't think it's dissimilar. Not to compare you to Hitler, but you've been compared to Hitler.
I mean, you just compared me to Hitler? Are you fucking kidding me?
Would you rather I compare you to
Anyways.
Mussolini? Which would you prefer? Okay,
Yes.
you're Mussolini.
I would prefer
You're the Mussolini of cinema.
At least he didn't kill millions
That's
of people.
true. He was.
I'm the Mussolini.
He was just also a fascist.
I'll take it. He was also a fascist. It's
Okay.
fine. I'm moving on.
To try and talk about some of the good of Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling, like A+ in the visual department, like you mentioned. There's so much good stuff here in terms of showing a character's thought process visually, just with shots, no sound, no speaking, showing off what they're thinking, their environment, their internality, showing that with just the footage. It's really well done. It's really well done. Whenever you see Florence Pugh just going in there, like trying to strangle herself or like trying to like being crushed by those walls. Oh, she feels crushed, imprisoned, trapped. It does a good job.
I think this part of this movie is Florence Pugh.
Yes.
No, I think Florence Pugh does a good job.
Florence Pugh does a very good job.
Florence Pugh does a good job.
Yeah.
The casting, I don't know. The casting was iffy.
Big names. A lot of big names. We got Gemma Chan. We got Chris Pine.
They are beautiful to look at. Beautiful men. Gemma Chan, Chris Pine, Florence, just beautiful people. Gemma Chan, Chris Pine, Florence Pugh.
Nick Kroll. What a looker
Nick
that
Kroll.
man. What a looker.
What a looker. Uh-huh.
But on that note,
Ugly
I think
Harry
one of the
Styles.
cool things that they do, Ugly Harry Styles is great. I think one of the cool things they do with casting, both films actually do this, is all of the wives are conventionally more attractive than their husbands. Like all of the husbands, except for Jack, except for Harry Styles, they're all supposed to look a little worse. Just a little grubbier, a little smaller, a little like less traditionally masculine, except for Chris Pine, who's this great ideal that all the men look up to and all kind of like appreciate and follow, like they're fucking it's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. Anyway.
It is a cult. And that's another conversation we won't get into today.
Am I crazy? But
yes.
Did it look
yes,
like
you are
Chris
crazy.
like I am crazy. It felt like Chris Pine looked like he had work done in this movie. I'm not saying that he did or didn't.
He's always had work done. What are you talking about?
He felt more plasticky in this film, and I don't know if it was intentional in the film or if it was just me being crazy.
I didn't really notice it, but I think maybe it was like the color grading, or I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. His lips just looked
because
kissable.
I kind of
very kissable lips in this Chris Pine.
I think he just has kissable lips. I mean, it's Chris Pine, the best Chris, the best Hollywood Chris.
He's a pretty good Hollywood Chris in terms of all the. Do you think he's the best actor, Chris?
No, I don't.
Well, who do you think is?
Is the Chris that it's a Chris that played Guardian of the Galaxy?
Chris Pratt?
I love Chris Pratt. In terms of acting, he kills me. I don't know why.
In terms of acting, he does do a good job. In terms of other things, yeah, Chris Pine. Chris Pine is probably the best crisp
Pine.
A crisp Pine. But one of the weird things about this movie for me, and I think one of the interesting things that it does do, is it really wants you to like Jack. It really does a lot of stuff to get you to like Jack.
And again, I think it's mostly because it's Harry Styles, and I kind of disagree with you that I think the men are very beautiful and enticing in this film in the beginning part. Like, they want you to love the men just as much as the women, which is very different from what you feel about the men from the get-go in Stepford Wives. I feel like even Nick Kroll, I feel like, is very conventionally attractive. I mean, like, he's a Hollywood leading man.
Which also feels mean to like call them. I don't think they're ugly. I just think that one, in this movie, they're made up to try to look conventionally attractive, or not even conventionally attractive to like 1950s ideals and standards, which is something like they don't entirely fit into. Because they're like just smaller framed or whatever. They are attractive. They are attractive men, but they're sort of out of style.
Did you just call Harry Styles out of style?
No.
Because I'll fight you.
Okay, fine. Harry Styles is out of styles. Harry Styles is out of style. But in the Stepford Wives, yeah, it is very clear that these guys visually just are not much. They're like the guy. The man with the most interest and like sexiness to me was Diz. So Diz is a part of like the secret society men's group that's sort of ruling Stepford.
The town. He's the equivalent of Chris Pine's character. He's like the cult leader of the town.
And he's kind of a silver fox. He's doing the Steve Jobs turtleneck thing before Steve Jobs was doing the turtleneck thing. Like, I kind of thought he could get it. Like, if I was Joanna in the scene where he like creepily comes up behind me and says, "Oh, I just love watching women do domestic tasks," or whatever, I'd be like,
Like domestic tasks to do, babe. Like, let's go.
Come on,
I'm ready. I'm here for it.
I'll do this domestic task. Wink, wink. If you're a domestic task, have sex with me. Okay. I stop.
Okay, back on track.
All of the men in Stepford Wives have something wrong with them. Like they're not. They're all
kind of off-putting from the get-go.
Yeah. Even Walter is a little off, and I think the film doesn't want you to hate him.
And the film doesn't. I don't know. I feel like the film does, in fact, want you to hate him from the get-go. From the get-go, he is talking about not very nice to Joanna.
He's not. They have some like cute scenes together, and the film tries to. Maybe you are right.
Yeah, I really don't think so. Whereas Harry Styles in Don't Worry, Darling goes down on Florence, and it's all about how great their relationship is. Every single person in the town is talking about how amazing Jack and Florence are together and all this stuff. Meanwhile, from the get-go, Joanna and Walter are kind of bickering and fighting.
But in that, it's sort of
from the beginning shots that she doesn't want to leave the city because she comes from like New York City to go out to this Stepford, Connecticut, to the suburbs. And it's established from the get-go that she doesn't want to do that, and he's kind of forcing her to. It's a very different vibe.
It is a very different vibe, and a part of that like move is fundamentally they're wanting different things right now. The move is very much more for Walter, and for Walter to get away from the noise. They talk about that in like a funny scene of like, yeah, Walter just really hates noise, and that's why he wants to get away from the city. And Joanna really misses that like hustle and bustle, that atmosphere that the city has. And also she misses like being a life, having things to do outside of sitting in her house and doing the various domestic tasks that she has to now that she lives in the suburbs, and it's a hell of a lot harder to get out and go anywhere and talk to people and do things. Like the fact that Bobby finds her just like sitting in a fucking field is very funny. Because also, I love Bobby in this film. Bobby is so attractive in this film. She is like...
Bobby is Joanna's best friend.
Yes.
In the film. And Bunny is the equivalent to Bunny in Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
And I like the agency that the women in Stepford Wives have. The agency the women have, the women being Joanna and Bobby. I like their relationship. I like that they're actually fully developed human women that have dreams, have hopes, are actively talking about that, actively doing stuff in their own lives that they want to do, to get back to. Whereas in Don't Worry, Darling...
We know more stuff about them. We know stuff about them, yeah.
And Don't Worry, Darling, from the beginning, she's kind of just along for the ride most of the time. She remembers bits and pieces. There's like one minute scene where she's a surgeon and explains that she was going to medical school, but we never see her have any other passion other than escaping this world. She has no other desire in life, at least that's explained in the film.
Yeah, and one of the difficulties, I think, of each of the different ways that these movies sort of go about this is in Don't Worry, Darling, it's kind of also like an amnesia story because she doesn't really know who she is or why she's there. She just knows she's married to this man, that she loves him, that they just got there. They have sort of an artificial past that's been constructed for them and that they all sort of share in different ways, and it's all very similar and weird. But because of that, it's a little more difficult for us to get to know her as a character. So far, we know she likes getting eaten out. She likes getting eaten out. So, like, I mean, that's
she likes sexual pleasure, and it feels like the film has degraded her as a woman to just caring about the sexual pleasure. And again, like you said, it is an amnesia story. And maybe that's my issue with it, is that I think one of my major issues with it is that the director in all of her interviews was very much about how this is about women's empowerment and how much we love women and all this stuff. But then they make her women like one-dimensional and flat. Yeah. And as a female director, I feel like that's doing a disservice to women. I don't see how this is empowering, how Don't Worry, Darling empowers women in any way, except maybe to escape their situation.
Yeah. Whereas in like the Stepford Wives, for example, we know a little bit more about Joanna. She has like a past, and she talks about her ex, and she talks about and there's like this through line throughout the entire thing of her really wanting to get better at photography and to sort of crack the nut on what she wants to do with her photography and sort of becoming a better person. And we also know a little bit about Bobby, about like just the mess that her life is and the sort of chaos that she has. And there's also a side character. I can't remember her name. She looks like fucking Dolly Parton with red hair.
The tennis girl.
Yeah, the tennis girl. Like, she's really into tennis and loves tennis, but she has like a bad relationship with her husband, and she doesn't really feel like they're connected. And a part of like the agency that Joanna has, whereas Florence Pugh doesn't really get to do, is Joanna goes out and tries to start a women's lib movement in the town of Stepford because she hears that
there used to be a women's liberation movement in the town that had fallen off because the men didn't really want them to do it anymore. And so she tries to restart it. And I think that getting that background on all those other women makes you more invested in them as characters, as people, and makes you more upset when you realize what has happened to
learning like and just that little bit
and that life ripped away from
that
them.
little bit about the
helps
past
so much.
Absolutely.
Having
Carol, there's like a lead sort of wife, her name is Carol. Having Carol be the former leader of that movement, the sort of the one that helped push that, is also interesting because it's like, oh, Carol, really? Like, she's the one that we kind of look at and think she is like the archetypical Stepford visual, like that's what the audience is shown as. Like, she's one of the first like sort of wives that we really explore. Let's compare some of the other female characters, quote unquote. Sorry, that was very mean. Quote unquote in "Don't Worry, Darling." So
no, it's real.
It's real.
It's so real.
So you're talking about Bunny. Also, there's a weird Alice like in a Wonderland theme going here on with like only some of these names. So Alice,
or like Fairy Tale. Alice and the Bunny,
Jack and the Beanstalk.
I feel like it may be Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels fairy tale-ish. I could see that. And Bunny serves as, first off, it's played by Olivia Wilde with her hair pulled back all the way.
I did not know.
So distracting. Every single time she came on screen, I was immediately taken out of the film because what the fuck are they doing with her makeup? Why is her hair like that? It actually, her face just irritated me so much in this film. Anyways, that is beside the point. Bunny is Florence Pugh Alice's best friend in the Victory Project. She serves to also tell Alice that she's crazy. And learn about her later in the film is that she knows she's in a simulation and she's willingly there because it's implied that like her kids in real life died, and she has kids in the Victory Project in the simulation. So she wants to be there for her children, even though her children aren't real. I think that's a
really, really cool idea. I really like that element of it. I don't know if it really works at the end of the third act to bring that in, to have us try to like reckon with that idea that people want to be in this, like women specifically want to be in the simulation that is horrible for them just because X is better or Y is better. Because, I mean, people all the time stay in bad relationships because of their children, but...
And cool, okay, fine. But also, to bring that in, like you said, in the third act, not give us time to explore that further or the implications of that. Okay, does that mean that she then kidnapped her husband and put her husband unwillingly into the situation? Or did they agree to it together? Like, there's so many questions that leaves that you don't get anything to. But also, her wanting to be in the simulation, why would she not let Florence or help Florence get out of the situation? Why is she actively being like, no, Florence, actually, you do have to stay in this simulation, like, fuck you. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It's almost like she decides... There was a previous scene in which, like, Jack's getting a big promotion, and Bunny comes in, and Florence is off in a different room, just completely somewhere else, like, crying and everything. And she's like, get it together, girl. Like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And then she just changes her mind later because, spoilers, Florence Pugh accidentally kills her husband with a fucking shot glass. Because he's a little wimp.
And now suddenly she wants Florence to escape? Like... Choose your struggle, bitch. Like, are you gonna help her or are you not? And if you know what's going on, you know that she's not crazy. Why wouldn't you stop and explain to her, as a woman to a woman, explain to her what the situation is and let her make her own decision? Or help her come to terms with the fact that, like, okay, this is life now and it doesn't have to be bad. There's so many other places it could have gone that would make more sense than just 1 minute her being like, no, you're crazy, and then the second other one being like, actually, Sure, let's help
Granted,
you out.
it does sort of imperil her if she talks about it, if she tells Florence anything, Alice anything. It does sort of imperil her with the Victory Project in some way. That's they don't really show that. Like there's an anxiety with the Victory Project, but
Yeah, but you want to empower women, let her make that choice for herself, and help her through the consequences of that. Versus Bunny, it feels like a character foil, like Bunny versus Bobby, because Bobby is the complete opposite. Bobby is the one that's pushing, like, okay, something's not right. We need to figure out what the hell's going on. She's the one that comes up with this idea that something's in the water, that's why the other women are acting crazy, or something like that.
They're trying different things. They're trying to understand different avenues of, like, why is this happening?
They're taking the situation into their hands and having some agency, some power over the situation that
and I think that's the issue with a lot of Florence's scenes is it is her ignoring the situation, having the situation kind of thrust upon her and reacting to it. But then there's limited things that she really does to advance that, to challenge that. One of the things she does do is she goes and she walks off in the desert toward a crashed airplane. And then she just, like, discovers the Victory Project thing and then wakes up right back at home immediately, which is serving to create mystery, which is serving to create questions, which is serving to create a sort of wondering in the audience of, like, well, what's up with that tower? What's happening here? What's happening here? And then the issue is that they don't really pay anything off.
They don't pay anything off in this film. They literally pay nothing off in this film. The red plane, because she sees a red plane crash, and we had seen the imagery of the red plane through the trailer and through the entire first act of the movie. There's a little red plane. Okay, cool. Now we see the plane crash. We never see or mention a red plane again for the rest of the film, and that is so frustrating. What the fuck was the red plane?
It kind of brings in this confusion of, like, what do they know about this fucking society, about this simulation? Like, what do they control? Like, there's a trolley man who can only drive his trolley, like, on this directed route, but for whatever reason it's also a bus. So there are a lot of questions of, like, why'd you make it a bus? Why not just make it a normal trolley? Also, is the trolley man alive? Like, is the trolley man an actual person?
Yeah, why is the trolley going all the way out to the desert anyway, if it's only the wives, and the wives aren't supposed to go out to the desert? Weird. Does the trolley man have a wife who's in the simulation, or is he just a supporting character? Why doesn't he have to go out of the simulation every day? There's so many questions.
It's very funny to imagine. It's very okay. I will be honest. I don't need an answer about the trolley man. I'm fine if there's not an answer about the trolley man. But I think it's very funny to imagine that the trolley man is like a fucking volunteer or whatever who doesn't get a hot ass wife in the simulation, but he does have like a wife at home or something. So every night he goes home and he tells his wife, "Oh, God damn it, I had to drive that virtual trolley again and again and again. Why do people keep taking that fucking trolley? Just walk. Jesus, it's not like you actually get tired. It's a simulation." But they have a loving marriage.
And in terms of, like, questions that aren't answered, I think the little questions, like the trolley man, end up bothering me more because the bigger questions never get answered. The big questions about the red plane, that is right in your face. They're trying to say maybe something, but then never follow through with it. And the lack of follow through with the rest of the film and how confusing the rest of the film is, especially the ending. Emma Chan randomly killing Chris Pine at the end with, again, no follow through. Why did she do that? We'll never know. It makes the little tiny...
Is it a weird sequel bait? Is it something else? Who knows?
Like, we don't know. And it doesn't make any sense for Emma Chan's character in the first place. So it makes the tiny little issues seem so much greater in my brain. And unable to get past them.
But one of the cool things about the movie are the tiny touches. Is that repeating circular pattern? is all the weird questions that you have with this uncanny sort of society. But anytime you make someone want to pay attention to the tiny things, if you as a film are telling the audience to pay attention and they keep paying attention and noticing all these things that don't add up, and then you don't like explain that otherwise, like all of a sudden you have a hostile audience. But the Stepford Wives, I think, operates sort of in the opposite of that, because we're given very little with the Stepford Wives in terms of like to understand the mystery, and it's not a terribly complex mystery. It's very obvious that the evil men are doing the evil things, but it's sort of like trying to know what's up. Like they have to figure it out and have to understand exactly why are these women acting this way. Because it's wild and weird, even in the film, that they're fucking robots. It's weird that they're robots, and I love it.
And it operates differently. Stepford Wives, as I said, it makes you pay attention to the little things, like this random ass man in the house drawing Joanna and making her record all these videos. They're audio recordings of her voice. It does give you little things, and it does want you to pay attention to the little things, but then it actually explains them to you and gives you a comprehensive view of putting the mystery together at the end to a satisfying conclusion where you realize and you can look back on the film and put all the little pieces together. Whereas Don't Worry Darling makes you pay attention to the little things and then says, well, figure it out, I guess, but doesn't give you anything else.
There's more. The Stepford Wives has a lot more action outside of the little things. It feels like they're going somewhere. We're following Joanna's like mental state and like the stakes in this world a lot closer. Maybe because it feels more real and because it feels like their relationship is somehow more important or somehow more realistic. So we're following like, how is Walter and Joanna? How are they doing? What are the kids like? Are the kids liking school? Are they not? Actually, they don't pay attention to the kids much, but just the fact that they have the kids sort of anchors Joanna inexorably from this place, from her husband, in a very, second wave feminist way of all of a sudden, there is like this lack of mobility that women have when they're put in the situation of, hey, I have kids. Hey, I need to take care of these people. Hey, I am dependent upon to keep this household running.
Now, hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
I feel like Don't Worry Darling would have been more effective if it had actually been about Bunny and exploring Bunny's mindset of having kids and wanting to stay in the simulation, and maybe then escaping and deciding to that she wants her own life and that it's more important, or even deciding to stay in the simulation, like figuring out this whole thing and then still saying, okay, you know what, I'm gonna stay. That would have been more effective for me than whatever the fuck Alice was doing this whole movie. Because again, I like that like anchoring idea.
Yeah.
The anchoring idea and giving the women more agency in their story and giving them multiple options for them to choose. Not that Stepford Wives necessarily gave them options, but they at least were trying to influence their own destiny.
Yeah, and Stepford Wives, it's a lot more difficult because at the end of the story, we realized there wasn't much of an option. Like, it was very hard to expand and explore and to fix anything, really, in Stepford because it's kind of already done. A lot of the most horrible things have already been committed. The most horrible crimes of killing all of these women to replace them with robots. That's fucking done. That's fucking over with. There's, like, the best... by the time that Joanna figures that out, like... there's not much she can do. She's already trapped in the fucking village. There's no way, like, the phones are gonna work. They mention it, it's offhanded, but, like, yeah, the phones are jammed, so she can't, like, call anyone and talk about it. So it's like she is not able to do much. Okay, let's talk about black people in these films because we're both we're so qualified to talk about that.
We're so qualified, which means we're actually not qualified at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah. Don't worry, darling. There's one named black character.
Margaret,
played by Kiki Lane.
Mm-hmm. And in the tradition of main black characters, she is killed off. She is killed off and ignored, and acts only to serve as like a defining
plot point.
a plot point. She acts mostly as one of the inciting incidents into fucking Alice's further degradation into questioning everything, which feels bad, man. Which feels bad, and I think
awful.
There's something to be said. There's something to be said. I don't think there's much.
And
to be said.
Okay, there's to compare it to Stepford Wives. They're in the 70s, in a time where there's segregation or the aftermaths of segregation where things are still very separate. So there's not any black characters until the end. But there's not really any black characters, and they address that. Like, okay, the first black family is moving into Stepford, and they kind of address that. However, don't worry, darling. It felt like they were trying to do something like, oh, we're casting people of color. We're an integrated town. We have so many different types of people, and then they just kill off all those people and don't discuss it at all. And it feels like it's being pushed under the rug and just feels icky.
Race is not really a consideration in Don't Worry, Darling. I don't think the Stepford Wives is doing anything revolutionary. It's just this weird sort of end note, and the film ends on it, which I don't know what that's saying. It's sort of saying of like the Stepford Wives can spread to other races or whatever, like this implication that the more men that follow down this thought path, that follow down this hyper masculine horrible thing, like the more races get to die. But yeah, Don't Worry, Darling feels like a colorblind film in a bad way, insofar as they should have thought a little bit more about what you're doing and what it means for the only like named black woman in your film to kind of be segregated to this role
and actually killed off in your film.
Yeah. Kill your characters all you want, but just know.
But keep it in mind.
There are effects, and they do like reinforce things.
And I'm just gonna say, if any film was gonna have only white people cast in it, this would be the one, because it is set in a 1950s film. Like, they could have just made that a thing, and it would have had a purpose for it to be only white people, and that's saying something. But to then kill off your only black people is crazy. Come on.
And there are like black people in the backgrounds or whatever, but like, no,
and
again.
Did no one on production go, maybe we shouldn't do this? Like, did no one on the production team think about the implications of that? And it just seems like they put no thought and effort into the casting, into the story. Like, it feels like just a missed mark on so many levels. Just another missed mark on this film of oversights that they just weren't, thoughtless oversights.
And I think that's
the directors and production
the thing of what each of these films are kind of going for, because the Stepford Wives was made in 1975, so it's kind of coming hot and fresh. Hot and fresh off of second wave feminism, which isn't really examining race all the way. Like, obviously there are great black feminists that help continue the movement and champion it, but there's not the same focus on blackness and that identity as it comes into femininity, as when we get later with bell hooks and intersectionality. Second wave is much more just about the equality in normal society, the rights of working women, the rights of reproduction, and you get so much of that, and it's so clear in the Stepford Wives. It really is just like they took notes on exactly all of the things that second wave feminism was talking about not having time to get educated, about not having time to get a job because of the fact that they have to do all the housework. They have to cook and clean and take care of their children while their men go off at work, come home, complain, go to sleep, and try to and expect like to have sex with them, and expect to have dinner perfect, and to expect them to not have an opinion ever. Stepford Wives does a beautiful job of showing that, particularly in that when they're making the robots, they're breaking these women down into the observations, the things that you see about them, their voice, their face, their body. They're not concerned with the fact that they have personalities and they have wants and desires. As soon as one of the women gets turned into a Stepford wife, the tennis court is completely destroyed and completely forgotten about, because they're not people. They're not even women. They're things that they are something that men have created for them, for their purposes.
Yeah, and they've taken away all of the things that make a woman and just leave the parts that they want. And we were kind of talking about how it's kind of satirical, it's kind of funny, because obviously you can't do that.
What do you think they're trying to do in Don't Worry, Darling? I know we've discussed a lot about it, but like let's understand the film for what it is literally saying. What is like the
What is it actually saying?
Yeah, what is it literally saying?
Bro, I don't even know. It is saying that it's a piece of shit, and that the production at that point was so bad. Don't Worry, Darling is, I think, examining technology and the influence the internet maybe has on men.
Oh, yeah.
At least towards the end, that's kind of more what it's talking about. Technology and the danger of that, of falling prey to... Okay, I'm pivoting.
Okay, pivot.
Don't Worry, Darling, I think is discussing how easy it is for people, men, to fall into the arms, the metaphorical,
the sweet podcast arms.
People. The sweet podcast arms of other people that are offering seemingly bigger and better things. I think both films are talking about the dangers of having one person offering just a bigger and better grandiose promises, and how that does not always pan out the way that people want it to. Yeah, they're promising great big things. Oh, your wife is gonna love doing housework and love going down on you all the time and all this stuff,
and never complain and never have an opinion,
and throw the food on the floor and cook for you all day and all these amazing things. But the reality of that is that, one, you're taking away what actually makes them human, and it doesn't work out like that. At least in Don't Worry, Darling, Jack ends up getting stabbed. The Frank guy, yeah, gets stabbed too, and it just comes back and bites you in the ass. Ultimately, if someone's offering something like that, if it's too good to be true, it's usually too good to be true. Like, that's a saying. It's a cliche because it's fucking true. Take it from me.
Too good.
It's easy, and I think it's also talking about how easy it is to fall prey when you're in. Ooh, and from a cult standpoint, how easy it is for people to take control of you when you're in those vulnerable moments. Because Jack had just lost his job in the real world and felt out of control and felt like he had no control over his life. And this was a way to control his life, and how control corrupts people, and how dangerous that is for everyone, for the person, for everyone.
For everyone. Yeah, like falling into those the wrong society, or the wrong influences and stuff. Meanwhile,
don't I fucking know it, Ethan? Don't I know it?
Cults. Well, if there's nothing else, let's just go ahead and go on to the eulogy.
And now for the eulogy in honor of our dearly departed artists.
Welcome to the eulogy. We are going to examine some of the lost things in film. Sometimes these are legitimate eulogies for actual artists. Sometimes it's some other shit. Nick, what do you have to eulogize today?
Today, I would like to eulogize. I have one serious one and one funny one. Or one less
Okay,
serious
that's the same for me.
Okay, so I want to eulogize Bryan Forbes, who we talked about a little bit. He's the director of the Stepford Wives. He passed away in 2013. He was a British director, actor, screenwriter, held in high regard by many. He made films throughout the 60s, 70s, and a little bit later than that, I believe. And he just did a lot of good work in the British film industry and keeping that all up. Making a comeback in the British film after World War II. There we go.
Yeah, because I'd never really heard of him when I first started researching it, and it was kind of interesting to just see like, oh yeah, because he's a British film director and he does like mainly British stuff from the 60s and 70s. So of course I didn't.
Yeah, he does like British stuff from the 60s and 70s. That's maybe not that's definitely not mainstream. This would be his most mainstream.
Yeah, it's the only one I've ever heard of.
But there's definitely a few more of his films that I want to look into and maybe get into at a later date.
That's pretty exciting. My serious one is for William Goldman. William Goldman, he was born in 1931 and he died in 2018. Now, the reason I love William Goldman is because, he wrote the book and screenplay for The Princess Bride. That is a fucking classic in my family and is fucking phenomenal. So I really respect and love his existence. But he also has some weird stuff with this movie because originally the film was supposed to be directed by Brian De Palma, who did Scarface and Carrie and The Untouchables. That's after this point, but it's funny to be like, this is this like much more famous Brian that we have over here, and then we have Bryan Forbes, who is famous in his own right, but he didn't direct Scarface and Carrie, so
Yeah, he was passed over for or he turned down the first James Bond.
Wow.
Coulda, woulda,
shoulda. That Dr. No.
And what did William
Goldman
do for this film?
Oh, he is the screenwriter. He is the screenwriter for this film. That is the important thing.
There we go.
But he refused to work with Brian De Palma because he's a little bitch, and he won an Oscar in 1969 for Butch Cassidy. So I don't know. He might have been riding his high horse for about, 4 or 5 years after that point. Oh, man.
I get it.
Okay.
If I won an Oscar, I would too.
What's your funny one? What's your funny one?
Okay, I would like to eulogize the relationship between Olivia and Harry Styles, and not because I'm sad about it, but because thank God he didn't do that. She sent the Harry Styles fandom into a tizzy.
Oh my!
And
not a tizzy.
Into a tizzy. The Harry Styles fandom collectively, I think, really dislikes Miss Olivia Wilde. Oh, Ethan, there's so many voice memos out there, like leaked. Shia LaBeouf leaked.
This is the eulogy. Calm down.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm
It's
okay.
okay.
So sorry.
Okay. That's fine. It's fine. You're showing yourself as the true Harry Styles stan that you are. I didn't like
I'm
saying
so
that.
sorry. I'm
I didn't like
embarrassed.
saying that. now the audience is voyeurs or whatever it is for hearing. Audieres, something like that. Who knows? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
I would like to eulogize the Stepford Wives cinematic universe, or should I say televisual universe, because there's not one, not two, but 3 different spin-off weird sequel television movies of the Stepford Wives, and they are as follows. Yeah, 3 different ones. 3.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Like half a decade. They're like half a decade apart. In 1980,
Really?
we got The Revenge of the Stepford Wives, which is kind of a sequel to the original 1975 one, but it's kind of not because they're not robots. It's just like therapy and shit where they like brainwash them. So that's just brainwashing. 1987, The Stepford Children. That's just kind of a reboot where the children are also robots. So that's something. And then in 1996, what do you think would they do? What do you think would they do in 1996? Do you think they would make the Stepford Husbands?
No.
They made the Stepford Husbands, undercutting the entire
purpose.
Fucking conceit.
Oh my god.
Now for the Stepford Husbands, they're also not robots. They take pills. The husbands are given pills unconsensually that make them like nice and chill and normal or whatever, and sort of sedate them.
As they should be.
As they should be. Men should be taking like testosterone blockers constantly. I need more beta males.
I concur. I can get behind that.
Come on. So, yeah, it was so hard to watch it. Also, like, this Stepford Husbands is so melodramatic, played for straight, that, like, just, I didn't watch the film, I watched just the fucking commercial for it, and even that was so hard to sit through.
Oh, no.
There's the 2004 film, neither of us watched those. Neither of us watched that. I wasn't interested in watching it. Maybe at some point we'll watch it, but probably not, because we've literally watched as much like Stepford Wives adjacent things for like I don't know how long.
For a lifetime,
For a lifetime.
I don't need
for a
to
lifetime.
Watch it.
Yeah, but you know what?
It's dead.
I got some news. Let's go ahead and go into incognito mode.
Incognito mode.
I didn't say that because I did in fact watch something else Stepford Wives related in incognito mode.
Incognito mode, for those of you who don't know, is where Ethan goes and tries to find an erotic remake of the films.
And yes, I look at porn for what's most important, the plot.
Of course. So my favorite part.
I found a delightful 1999 film by Ren Savant called Perfect. And I just have a quote I would like to say. This is from the intro. It's really artful, actually done.
Okay.
It's set on a black background, and it's the most 90s looking motherfucker in like the largest, dumbest suit you can imagine.
Oh no.
So let me just give you this. I can only ever truly give my heart to one woman, but I can give my dick to, well, let's just say I can't count that high.
Oh my god.
So this film is actually really close to Stepford Wives. Follows the conceit pretty well. So Carmen joins her husband Dylan at his boss's company party, and it's being thrown for Dylan. It's so nice, but turns out, it's a swingers party. Mr. Graves, his boss, then like in the middle of the party is like, oh, welcome, and he starts to like, his wife like comes in, and it's a whole reveal of like, yeah, this is my beautiful wife. And then his wife starts having a 3-way in the middle of the room, and everyone's just sort of looking. Some people are like touching themselves or whatever, but like he is like And Mr. Graves looks so fucking dumb. He looks so goddamn dumb that it pisses me off. He's got a terrible haircut. He's got like a weird fucking goatee situation, but it's not like the full goatee. It's just like the weird soul patch. It's so fucked. He's so fucked. But yeah, so his wife starts getting fucked on the table, and like there's a room full of people watching his wife get fucked while he's describing it. And then Carmen like says, Dylan, we got to get the fuck out of here. But then like as soon as she leaves, she's like, oh, you know what? I'm chill with it. I'm gonna go have sex with Mr. Graves' wife. But little do we know. Yeah, she get it. She got it. She gets it. A wonderful scene, I'm sure. I didn't really watch it.
Sounds like you did watch it.
There is one part that I did watch, which I had to, because it's a scene while Dylan is getting a blowjob, and unfortunately there's a very important scene that acknowledges that, like, oh, these are all sex bots. All of the wives at this party, they're all sex bots. They've been replaced by sex bots, and also they have a hive mind that makes them good at sex. They're getting better at sex, and they're like, oh, we didn't think that they'd establish a hive mind, which is a bad thing. God. Like, I want a sequel to this film. Because like, oh, they just like
sounds like it's better than Don't Worry, Darling.
What's gonna happen with the hive mind?
God damn.
It's better, and there's more, Also, I assume all the female employees get sex partners too. That's not really expanded upon, but I assume that there are also female employees.
You know, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Might give it a watch.
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, Carmen then like goes down. Also, there are like shots in this thing. There's this thing is like cinema. It's like a creepy little over the head shot of Carmen sneaking down, and the same thing with Mr. Graves later. But yeah, Carmen discovers her like sexy duplicate in the underground, but she's like really chill about it, like way more chill than anyone should be about seeing like a complete sexual like recreation of you. So she's really chill, and then Mr. Graves finds her, but then like strangles her, despite the fact that she was really being quite honestly super chill. And he's like being vaguely threatening, and he's saying like, oh, I just need one more thing from you. And then it's a scene of Mr. Graves just absolutely fucking ramming the Carmen bot. And then Dylan, like, walks into the fucking frame of the doorway and is just watching Graves fuck his wife. And he's, like, sad about it. Because both he's being cucked, and he's also had, like, just been, like, party to having killed his wife. But here's the goddamn thing! And the first, I think, post-credit scene of pornographic cinema, Mr. Graves didn't fucking kill Carmen. They're, like, in a coffee shop afterwards, like, laughing about Dylan's face. But that implies so much nonsense that Mr. Graves is doing. So that means that every single one of his employees' wife is alive. And presumably he's dating them all. So he's like cucking all of his employees' wives.
You know, that's one way to
because his employees were like, oh, I want a robot instead of my real wife. Which is so fucking wild. Mr. Graves is a feminist. He is a feminist.
I love it.
And that's been incognito mode.
That fantastic. Truly, I'm gonna...
Perfect by Ren Savant. It's out there.
Perfect.
It's in there.
I'll give it a watch. You know, sounds better use of my time than rewatching Don't Worry, Darling, to be so honest. Okay, and now I will have a segment called Everyone is a Critic, in which I have scoured Letterboxd for some funny reviews, and Ethan is gonna guess which film they're for. So,
come on,
okay,
give them.
Okay, here we go. The thing is, men are just like that. Ethan, what do we think?
Okay. Can I ask the star reviews? How many stars?
2.
Oh, that's Don't Worry, Darling. That's gotta be Don't Worry, Darling.
It is not. It is Stepford Wives.
What?
Okay.
I have the wrong opinion, but
this one was 1.5.
okay.
And it's Gaslighting. The movie.
Okay, that's gotta be Don't Worry, Darling. That's gotta be Don't Worry, Darling.
That is Don't Worry, Darling.
That is Don't Worry.
You're right.
Because there's so much more. Walter feels a little bad about it in a way that Jack doesn't.
True. Okay, this is 4 stars. And it's, damn, men really ain't shit.
I'm gonna guess Don't Worry, Darling again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, because you can be attracted to Harry Styles in this film, but no one is attracted to Walter. No one is attracted to Walter in that film. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Okay. And this one is 3.5, and it is This Connecticut Documentary Got Really Weird.
Okay. This one I know, because I know Stepford Wives takes place in Stepford, Connecticut. That is Stepford Wives.
I gave it away.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Yeah, that was way too easy. Nick.
Okay. And then I have 2 more that are probably my favorite, which is This is What Cocaine Does to People. And if that ain't the truth.
That is the truth. Oh god. This is tough because it's the 1970s, so everyone's doing cocaine. But Don't Worry, Darling made me feel like I had a really bad trip of cocaine, if that's how cocaine works. I don't know. I've never done it.
It's not.
Well, I had a bad trip of cocaine.
That's what it would feel like.
Yeah, if you could trip on cocaine, that's what it would feel like. So I am going to guess... we just did Stepford Wives, so I'm going to guess Stepford Wives again.
Nope, that is Don't Worry, Darling. Harry Styles skiing a little too much. Him and Olivia Wilde need to stay off the slopes. Yeah. Let's just say that. And then men would do anything but go to therapy.
Okay. I guess Stepford Wives last time and I was wrong. But I think since there's an actual fucking therapy scene in Stepford Wives. So I think it would make so much more sense because, Walter does not go to therapy, but Joanna does go to therapy. So, Stepford Wives.
Negative. It is also Don't Worry, Darling.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Sorry.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Oh, well, on that note.
And then with a special, women do be shopping. And I didn't write down which one that was for to be so honest. But I like that.
But women do be shopping.
But women do be shopping, you know?
Women do be shopping. Okay, well that's great. Well, are you ready to go into Last Rites?
And now for Last Rites.
Give me the Last Rites.
Nick, yeah, let's just say our watch order. Let's just say our fucking watch order. Okay, go ahead.
My watch order was Don't Worry, Darling, and then Stepford Wives. However, I had watched both of them previously.
I had watched neither of them previously. My watch order was Stepford Wives and then Don't Worry, Darling. Okay. Nick, is cinema dead this week? What do you think? What are you feeling?
Okay. Originally, I wanted to say it was dead. Because Don't Worry, Darling really bothered me so much. And it is the closest to modern day cinema. And it came after Stepford Wives. But I love Stepford so much. And just the way it did everything. And building suspense and pacing and all the goody amazing things that Stepford did. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Okay. Having watched it in chronological order in Stepford Wives, Don't Worry, Darling, I also went into this thinking cinema was going to be dead, and I think Don't Worry, Darling is a shower movie insofar as you start to think about it a little bit in the shower and everything crumbles apart. But
Yes.
like Stepford Wives is so complete, and it, unless you're like actively trying to like find holes, you don't really want to have those thoughts because it leaves you so whole and satisfied. And objectively, it is the film that came after it is a worse film.
Yes.
So I think, in fact, Nick, I argue that this week cinema is dead.
Perfect. I love it. Don't Worry, Darling has killed cinema. It killed it. It had such good material to work with. And Florence Pugh and Olivia Wilde fucking killed it. And Harry Styles.
I don't think we said
God
that.
damn it.
Florence Pugh is good at this film. Yeah.
And what we said is that Florence Pugh is blameless. She had nothing to do. Yeah. She came in, she gave her little patented frown, and she got out. She is the
best part. She's the best part of this goddamn movie.
100% hands down, Florence Pugh is the best part of this movie.
Okay.
But god damn it, they killed cinema.
Nick, I've been Ethan.
And I have been Nick. Listen to you next time, hear you next time, talk at you next time. I don't know.
Hey, hit you up next time, brother.
That's it this week, but next time we have a special little treat. Star Wars Episode 4 and the Hidden Fortress on May the 4th of all things. We'll see you in a galaxy far, far